With us now is Bernie Marcus, the founder of Job Creators Alliance and the co-founder of the Home Depot. Thank you for being with us today.
Great to be here.
We're here at the Job Creators Alliance Free Enterprise Leadership Summit in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. Talk to us about the event and what you're trying to accomplish here.
What we're trying to do, look, I remember, I'm not associated with Home Depot anymore. I'm not part of management. I resigned, I gave up, retired rather, not resigned, in 2002. But, I'm a believer in a free enterprise system. My parents were Russian immigrants, came to America. We were penniless. I lived in a tenement, walking up 4 flights. When I look at where I am today, where could this have happened anywhere in the world but the United States? I love this country. And I recognize that the reason I reached where I got was because of the system. The system allowed it, the free enterprise system. But I have to tell you something. When we started Home Depot in 1979, we did not have the barriers that we have today. The barriers are just monumental. I don't know how to climb over them. I don't know, between things like Sarbanes-Oxley and Dodd-Frank, and more importantly now Obamacare, I don't know how, and the regulations with the EPA, the AFA, the KIA, the NLRB, I mean, that whole alphabet, everybody out there has one determination, and that's to stop you in your tracks. When did you ever hear of a bureaucracy say, let's help you with your business, let us help you grow? Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen unless you're a big contributor, unless you give $500,000 to the party, then they'll give you money to grow. Other than that, no one is out there to help you. So I'm worried about this, and we are trying to teach small businesses to fight back. They do have the ability to fight back. 70% of the workforce in America today are small businesses. If I own a restaurant and I have 120 people working for me, and I'm barely making it today, and I look at Obamacare, I have to explain to my employees what's happening. I have to say to them, look, if I in fact cover you, I don't know if I'm going to survive.
So how do small businesses then fight back?
We will give them the ammunition to do it. We give them the messaging to get through so that they know. This is not propaganda. We're not throwing lies out. What we're going to do is tell them the facts. Obamacare is going to kill off the small businesses. There's no question about it. If they're thrown out of their medical plans now, where they're covered in a good medical plan and thrown under the bus, they're going to be destroyed. If in fact they don't stay as full-time employees but go to part-time employees, they're going to be destroyed. People have to understand that. They have to understand that the villain is not their employer. The villain is the U.S. government. This is where the villain comes from. It's what's happened with the bill that was passed in Congress by this administration and subsequent administrations. But I must tell you that Obamacare is the capper. That's the bullet to the temple.
The Obama administration tells us that the economy's improved and that while there's work that still needs to be done, the economy is in pretty good shape. What do business leaders tell you is the reality?
Let me give you the reality. I started Home Depot with my great associates that I started with in 1979. There were more people in the workforce in 1979 than there are in the workforce today in 2013. You think about the growth in population, and isn't that disgraceful? I mean, think about that number. There are less people working today than there were in 1979. So to who is the economy good? To who is it good? It's good to the politicians. Washington, D.C. is wealthy as hell. Go to Chicago and tell me how wealthy it is. Tell me about the unemployment numbers all over the United States. Tell me about the 25 million people who no longer look for jobs. And tell me about all these people that work for small businesses that have good jobs today that may be working part-time tomorrow. Tell them how good it is.
I want to ask you about unemployment. I guess the unemployment rate allegedly fell to a 4-year low of 7.6% last month. Do you believe that number?
Of course not. No, it's a number.
Just how high is it?
But I think the number is probably about 14 to 15%. If you really want to take into consideration people who are working part-time that would work full-time, take into consideration people who have jobs that they wouldn't do. I mean, I have a waiter that's waited on me last year who was a physicist who was waiting on tables. I mean, he's not very happy with how life is going. No, the economy's not good. It's all propaganda. I wake up in the morning, I mean, they wake up in the morning. You take these people surrounding President Obama, I don't know where they come from. They must come from the moon or some other place. Reality doesn't seem to interfere with what they say. And what they say comes out of their mouth, and they know it's a lie, or worse than that, they're totally ignorant. And you know what? I vote for the fact that they're totally ignorant.
Now, Obama's budget plan, $3.77 trillion, changes to entitlement, more taxes on wealthier Americans. What do you make of his proposal? And is this just another attack on the rich?
It doesn't solve any problems, does it? It doesn't solve any problem. It's not going to put more people to work. It's going to increase the deficit. Tomorrow I have to give a speech to young people. And what I'm going to tell them, they're the screwed generation. And I use the word screwed. They are screwed because they're going to have a deficit of $25 billion that they'll never pay off. For the rest of their life, they're going to have this burden around their neck. We didn't have that. I didn't have that when I graduated college. They're going to have it. And if you think that this is not going to affect life after life, and so I guess the whole thing is to put everybody on the payroll. And just like Italy, have everybody working for the government, just like Greece, have everybody work for the government. I think that's basically what this government wants to do. This way they control that power seat so that no Republican, those terrible people, those terrible, terrible Republicans, never get back into the House, the White House again.
Speaking of Republicans, how do you think Republicans in Washington are handling all this?
Well, they're on the defensive constantly. And you know what? I have to tell you something. I'm not speaking from a Republican standpoint. I'm not a spokesman for the Republican Party. I'm really speaking I'm a spokesman for small businesses. And it's unfortunate, but the Democratic Party is not in favor and not working for the small businesses. I don't think that many Republicans really work hard for it either. I think they all think in terms of their own entitlement, which is the lobbyists that come in, who inundate them day after day after day. Small businesses have very little power. But the people in the power seat, and that's Democrats right now, are under control of the lobbyists and the far, far right. And I think nobody gives a crap about the small business guy. And he's being treated that way. He's suffering the penalty. He has no voice. Nobody hears him. He's like the snapping tree in the woods. Nobody hears him. But they certainly hear. They certainly hear from the vocal groups. They hear from the big business. The small guy is underrepresented. He's a dead duck. We're trying to help that.
Last question for you, Mr. Marcus. Looking toward 2016, we're hearing Marco Rubio, Jeb Bush, Chris Christie, Rand Paul, and a host of others could jump in the presidential race. Is there anyone in particular that you like who you think would be especially good for the small business community?
I think by 2016, the dynamics of this whole country are going to change, and I think that things are going to get so bad that we're going to look for somebody who has some bright ideas, who is different. And I think the American people want real leadership. There are a couple of people there that I think are very, very bright, but are they going to be good enough? Because it's a sliding scale. We're going down so fast that it's going to take a really bright, articulate, dynamic world changer to change it. And we won't know who that is until time gets near, because we don't know what we're going to be facing. Next 3 years are going to be terrible. They're going to be awful. Not going to get better.
If folks want to learn more about Job Creators Alliance, where should they go?
JobCreatorsAlliance.org.
All right, Bernie Marcus, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.